Okay, hey guys. So I know as you look at this, you see hindrance on here when we're talking about mission trips. It's just kind of probably crazy to you because you're like, how is a mission trip even a hindrance? Well, for the most part, it really is helpful. It does a lot for the community and for yourself and serve God. But there are a couple things that can be in a mission trip that can serve as a hindrance. So there are four questions today that we're going to be going over that I will answer. This is the overview. So first, why are mission trips helpful? Second, how do you know mission trip is right for you? Third, what makes a helpful mission trip? And finally, what makes a hindrance of a mission trip? So first, why are mission trips helpful? So the first reason that they're helpful is, of course, they teach participants what it's like to be a missionary. But what is a missionary? Missionary is someone who has the heart of servitude to serve others before themselves. This can be represented through joy, Jesus, others, and yourself. Second thing is they spread the gospel. So mission trips help spread the gospel because when you tell one person about God, then it'll spread to a multitude of people. We call it domino effect, we call it wildfire effect, anything that you want to call it. But we want the people that we're professing to witness the love of Jesus through us so that then when they go out, they can witness to other people. Matthew 24:14 says, "And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come." So God speaks to us in this verse by telling us to go out and fulfill everyone with his name. Share the gospel with people so that they may go out and do exactly what we've done for them. The Bible that is not sitting on your desk right now, don't know where the Bibles are, but anyway, the Bible's over there. Gives us evidence not only to existence, but also his plan for us. So by doing this, going out and proclaiming the gospel to everybody, being a missionary, whether it's here in South Carolina or somewhere else, you're able to produce a crowded heaven with servants of the Lord. And finally, they build relationships. The relationships that you build on this mission trip will last you a lifetime, and you really do create a family and a really close relationship with anybody, not just on the mission trip, but even when you come home. Just like that. Yeah. Okay. So second, how do you know a mission trip is right for you? So the first thing that you need to ask yourself is God calling you? So if you've really been struggling in your walk of faith and not knowing where God wants you in life, then he may use a mission trip to lead you and answer the question that all of us seniors, especially us seniors, face. Where do you want to be in life? What do you want to do? What do you want to do after college or high school? So God may use a mission trip to answer those questions for you and really lead you where he wants you to be. So before I went to Dominican, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a physical therapist. I wanted to be a nurse. I don't even know what I wanted to do. And I always had in the back of my mind of being a teacher. But the life that I wanted to live could not be sustained by the salary that I was going to make. And so I was like, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go do something else. So I went on the mission trip, just not even knowing what I wanted to do. And I was really nervous going into the classroom because I was like, what if the kids don't like me? What if they don't learn anything from me or anything like that? And so it was really tough going in there. So throughout the week, we taught them a Bible verse and a song. And if you put the song up right there, I could honestly probably do it for you because we did it so many times. And the verse that we learned throughout the week, we did so many different things. I don't know what we did, but we did so many different things to help them learn and incorporate the verse, not only knowing the words, but also understanding what it's saying. So at the end of the week, they had the chance to say it back to us, and they would, of course, get a piece of candy for it too. So some of the kids going in were really nervous because they didn't want to be embarrassed that maybe their friends did it or anything like that. But we really honed in on learning what the verse was saying and not just the words. So on Friday, which is the end of the week, they finally said it back to me. And it was really amazing to see them actually say it back to me because I know that they were paying attention that entire time. And they weren't just doing it just to get away with it. So at the end when they finally said it to me, it was really crazy because this is something that I taught them, and now they know what the verse is saying and a good piece of information that the Bible gives us that they understand, and that maybe when they go home, they can show it to their friends, they can show it to their families, and once again, going back on that Bible verse that we talked about, then it's professing it everywhere else. So after that, I really realized I want to be a teacher, and I really do want to be in classroom. So now I'm going to college for education. I'm going to teach in a classroom. In second grade, I want to be a second grade teacher, which is the grade that I taught in Dominican. So that's one way that God could be calling you. So second, Are you able to use your gifts to serve? So maybe you do know where you want to be, you know what you want to do, like you know everything that you're good at. Good. You can use all of those things to serve God and to create a better God-loving environment. So first, maybe you have communication skills. So just like I said, you can use your communication skills in the classroom to be a teacher. Or you can go out and teach everybody what the Bible is actually saying, because it really is hard to understand. So second, maybe you know how to build a house. Don't know how you build a house, but you know how to build anything. You know how to weld. You can do all these things to serve others by building much needed homes, much needed schools. And you can even do that here in the community with like Habitat of Humanity, or you can go to faraway places like Dominican and build schools and classrooms. So these next things I'll be giving to you are pieces of information I hope that you think of when planning your next mission trip. So I know Pastor Nathan is going on Dominican this summer. So these are a couple of things that I experienced with Pastor Colin in Dominican that really helped me hone in on like what we're going through and everything. So these are a couple of things that you could use. So first, encourage diving into scripture before, during, and after the trip. Using scripture as a guide throughout the trip allows our hearts to be set on the direction of God and centers your focus on what he wants for you. Second, team debriefs. These can be taking place after the entire day of a mission trip. Maybe with the group that you're in, or maybe if you're just on there by yourself and there's a couple of people around you that can gather and talk about everything that you went through on the trip, because that's something that you really need to do. You can't just let it and sit with yourself. You have to unpack it, because there really is a lot to unpack. And if there's any questions that you have that are really concerning to you, then you have people, that family that we talked about, to ask. So third, learn how to respond appropriately to other people's needs instead of your own. So this meaning, like, say your back really hurts really bad because you're putting up drywall all day, and then the next day you're like, I don't really want to go out and put more drywall up because it's really repetitive and my back really hurts. You don't want to do that, because what you're doing, even though it hurts, is really helpful to all the people that are living there. So you really want to respond. Oh my gosh, that was the wrong slide. Okay, anyway, next one. Support the ministry long term. So you don't want to let the support die out when you leave. You really want to be able to impact even after you're gone. So like how we do here for Benevolence Week, we can raise money for water bottles or just for the place itself. Especially the water bottles were a really impactful thing, because when we were there, the kids were drinking out of like maple syrup bottles and like peanut butter jars, which is not the best thing. So being able to have those water bottles are really impactful for all the kids there. And fifthly, you want to make it effective. So since a mission trip can sometimes bring a short span of time, if you're like going with a church or going with school, the most beneficial thing that you can do is not only serve the people that live there, but also serve the missionaries that are there long term. So you can do this by helping the people who live there become more connected to the missionaries. And finally, the most obvious thing that you can do is serve in a way that actually helps. But how do you do this? So first thing that you need to do to be able to serve in a way that actually helps is understanding that the goal is not to create a community that depends on the other people to support themselves. And second, not looking at the things that they don't have, but instead focusing on the things that they do have and innovate a way to use those things to create change. And finally, determine the kind of intervention that is needed to meet the needs of people. These types include relief, rehabilitation, and development. So, as I begin to conclude this presentation, I hope that you've learned things including your next mission trip, and maybe you learned that a mission trip is something that you need to go on. So now that you know all of that, there's 4 ways a mission trip can become a hindrance. So first, lack of preparation. Preparing for a mission trip is one of the most essential pieces of the mission trip itself. So being able to give yourself time to prepare for what you're about to experience allows you to think everything that's about to go through the change, maybe the culture shock, anything that you're going to go through. But how do you prepare yourself? So here are a couple things to really hone in on when preparing for your mission trip. So first, you want to give yourself time to pray and reflect on the things that you're about to do. Allow your mind to prepare for the culture shock you're about to face, that we said before. And know that not everything in life is going to be the same as before, because after going through an experience like this, you will not think the same way. You will not respond to things the same way. You'll think differently. You want to write out expectations. Maybe that's in a journal, or maybe you have a note spot in the back of your Bible. You can put that there. But journal is one of the best things to write in, because you'll always have that. Pray about specific things that you want God to show you. Maybe if you still need that answer to the question of what do I want to do with my life, or just anything. And then finally, you want to pray for timing. Timing is key on mission trip and allows God to either push time forward or backward, which brings us new opportunities and safety for us. So second, the trip is not glorifying God. So how the focus is not on God, but rather yourself is a way of not glorifying God. By focusing on ourselves rather than God, we put ourselves in the good that we did above what the trip actually did for others. So this can be represented by posting pictures of kids on social media and talking about everything that they've been through in the caption. What good does this do? This is not, these next pieces that I'm going to give to you are not things I just want to just yell at you and be like, you're doing this, so you're a sinner. That's not what I'm trying to say. But the one thing that I do want to ask is why. When you do post something like that, why do you feel the need to post that? So you have time to answer questions for me, or I have time to answer questions for you, but that's just one question that I do want to ask you guys. So James 2:15 through 17 says, if a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed and filled, without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. So the header above this passage is faith without works is dead. That is then repeated at the bottom of verse 17 as seen on the slide. This emphasizes the truth that God is trying to enforce upon his reader, that even if we do believe what the word is saying and that God is giving to us, but we do not act upon the thing that he's saying, that we are not serving. So with that, to begin the entire chapter of James 2, which is this verse, is called the sin of partiality. So I've seen the sin of partiality in many mission trips today. This is due to the takeover of social media on mission trips. So for example, going on a mission trip with the intentions of taking many pictures with the kid just so you can go home and post and draw attention to the good deed that you just did is definitely not what a mission trip is intended for. So when on a mission trip, this is blatant disrespect to the people that you just served. The children are not zoo animals. You do not need to take pictures of them. And the villages of the people there are not tourist attractions. These are the lives of God's people. So posting about how everything they have been through is serving only you and not God. If you've ever been on a mission trip and experienced being able to hear the testimony of people that live there, then you know it has not been a perfect life. But maybe it's not a perfect life to us because we have been given so much here, especially in the place that we are right now. But also, when meeting these people, you know that even though they are not able to have a lot of physical materials that we have, but they have so much love and so much joy, which is honestly something that we really miss out here because we weigh out our joy with the things that we have. So we get it. They've been through so much, but was it really necessary to share that on social media? What good did it do? When you say, look at all these people that I went and served, and let me tell you about all the things that they don't have. How about, here's a picture of the country that I just went to, and I was able to go, and let me tell you about how Jesus impacted my life on this trip, and hear how it can hopefully impact you too. So the third reason for how a mission trip can be a hindrance is not understanding the needs of the community. So this means that you're only understanding the appearance of things and not what they actually need. So for example, if a disaster just struck a place that you're going to serve and you overwhelm the community with donations of clothes and only clothes, then you're taking away the chances of a local shop owner that will open back up when everything is back to normal of having like that income. And it could honestly result in the closing of that said business. So you need to hone in. If somebody just got had a death in the family because of a natural disaster that just hit, they don't need clothes. They don't need donations of clothes. They really need relief that we talked about in the things before. So you need to just sit down with them, open up, and just talk to them. They don't need donations of clothes and just that. So the fourth reason is planning on coming home and boasting. So if you're planning on coming home and boasting about all the good things you've done for other people, then this can most definitely be a hindrance on the trip because once again, it is interfering with the whole reason of the trip, which was to serve God and to serve others. So these are my closing thoughts. So as I conclude my presentation, I would like to leave you with these three statements. Number one, always have a heart of servitude even when the trip is hard. The entire trip is going to be hard. It is really hard to go to a place that you don't even know, especially when there is a language barrier, but you just have to push through it because you know that once again, you always have God on your side. and that he has put you in this position to help you and to help others and to serve him. So second, you want to leave the trip in the remembrance of the impact left on you by the people, not the impact that you left on others. And finally, remember God is the one that you are serving. So I hope that you learn new things to take on your next trip. And if you have any questions about missions, there are many faculty members like Pastor Colin, Ms. Panagakis, Ms. Buhner, and Pastor Nathan that can help you answer any questions about missions. And if you don't want to talk to a faculty member, because they're really scary, they're terrifying people, I get that. If you want to talk to a student, you can talk to me, you can talk to Isaac, you can talk to Kelsey, and you can talk to Lila Evans. And if anything like that, you can always come to us. So yeah, we're here to answer any questions that you have. So thank you.
Okay. I want to open it up to our panelists. You got any questions or comments for Grom? Okay, I got some. Good job, by the way.
Thank you.
Well done. I love that. I love the personal connections, not just in the sense that, hey, I've been on a mission trip before, but you always hear folks coming back from mission trip and it's like, oh, that was so impactful. That changed my life. How? They're like, well, what do you mean? Well, how did it change your life? And I know I've gone on mission trips before, and I've made the claim that it changed my life, and nothing about my life changed. So it's really cool to see, no, there was something that God did for you that you're going to carry with you for quite some time. That's amazing. Because you do these things for a while, you get kind of cynical about it, where it's like there's a lot of effort and a lot of money and a lot of stuff goes into these trips, and I wonder how much of it is just a vacation, just a thing. So it's really cool that you're saying, no, this can be a really good thing. Because I'll get to my question in just a minute. I don't think your recommendation, tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think your recommendation is like, no, this is a waste of time, we need to stop doing it. This could be huge, this could be really, really beneficial, but we have to go about it the right way, and so much of that is the mindset. So tell me this, is the mindset more, like if you had to make a call, I know this is kind of an impossible question to answer, but if you had to make the call, is a mission trip, like the ones you're talking about, is it more for the people that we Americans are going to go help? Is it more about the help we're bringing them, or is it more about the impact that it has on our lives? So for instance, as a school, we're interested in sending our students on mission trips. Is as a school our goal to help them as much as possible, or is it more about our students being exposed to something?
Well, I wouldn't want to take it as like a group. Maybe I would really say it's individual, because you can't group them all together and be like, oh, they all have the same like mindset going into it. But when you go there, you really want to hone in on the fact that you're going there to help and you're there to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And not only are you serving them, but you're serving our school, and you're especially serving God.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to go in there with the right mindset. So if you're there to go serve yourself, then that honestly might not be the best thing for you. Because like I said, this could be a calling, but that once again is not serving you, that's serving God, because that is his calling meant for you.
I like that. I like the distinct thing. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. So it's not even about the group per se, it's about these individuals.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And then also, could you go back to, I just wrote down the term actually helps. It's back a few slides. Yeah, keep going. Because you made some really good recommendations, and right there.
Oh, okay.
So the whole serve in a way that actually helps, and you made several recommendations that I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
Could you?
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm imposing.
Oh no, you're fine.
I'd really love to hear those again.
Okay. Serve in a way that actually helps. Oh, okay. So you need to understand that the goal is not to create a community that depends on other people to support themselves. So that's the first reason. And then second is not looking at the things that they don't have, but instead focusing on the things that they do have.
So that's brilliant to me. And frankly, I don't do as many trips as these guys. So like maybe this is old hat to you all, but like that, I'm thinking about all the ways in which we Americans are willing to go down and just make their lives so much better. And there's this concept out there when helping hurts that we've discussed quite a bit. And I never thought. I mean, I guess I've thought about it, but it's like it's crazy how specific it is that we donate clothes a lot. And I've never thought that might shut down somebody's business because folks don't need to buy from them anymore. Can you talk? Do you have any more specific examples of that? Can you talk a little bit more about that, like the specific help that community needs, and where do we get that information? Like, how do we know what a particular community needs?
So it depends like where you go, and usually there's a community serving there because it's hard to just go to a place, especially if it's like far away,
Right.
and just be like, hey, I'm here to help. It's like usually like a big group of people, like a church or something. So they will usually like analyze it and see what they need. And so a lot of things like the water bottles that we did for Dominican, that is a much needed thing there that not a lot of people really even think about. Because you go there and you see the water bottles and you're like, okay, well at least they have water. But when they're drinking out of things like that, it could become really like, it could have like an infection or something in it.
Which I'm interrupting you for a minute for my question, but like, I wish I would have known more about that when we were doing the bit. It's like, oh, water bottles, cool, I guess. Like, why the maple syrup bottle thing breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Like, I really, not that I wasn't on board with it before, but man, that's the type of information that makes that really impactful. So anyways.
So like ways to help it.
Yeah, like how do we know that community? Because I'm trying to connect a couple dots. I think you can connect them. Like, how do we know what this community needs?
So if you go there and like there is a relief, like there's relief people going there after like a natural disaster. Like I said with the clothes, that a lot of people just look that they need physical things, but at the same time, like when we say they need things, it's not just physical things. It's like they need somebody there to just be like, hey, I'm here and I'm here to support you. And that you have this thing, you have the Bible to like give to them, and it's like, here is everything that is going to happen, and like this is your peace. Like even after everything that's gone on, the world is like going crazy around you, you have your peace. And so just using that.
Because so the two dots I'm trying to connect is, so helping in a way that actually helps versus this, you mentioned a couple times, there needs to be some long-term relationship. It's a short-term trip, but there needs to be some long-term intention in terms of the relationship that we have with the group of people there, the information we're able to get with them. Because like you said, you don't just drop in somewhere and be like, hey, what can I do to help? Nothing, leave. So I'm thinking out loud now. It seems like that's a really important component to know what these communities need. Is the long-term relationship that we have with missionaries who are there and so on.
Okay. I'll make a few comments if that's okay. Morgan, I really appreciate the effort that you put forward is essentially saying these are human beings, and the way in which we interact from a mission standpoint needs to be seen in such a way as that. We don't go saying, hey, we're just going to like be these saviors, because how would that feel if it were to happen to us? Right? I think that was one of the first questions I asked you guys. Is like, if somebody came into your neighborhood and just started taking pictures of you playing, you would be like, let's call the cops. This is a creep. We need to get this person taken care of. And so why would we expect or think we could do the same thing? In the same way, like essentially what you're raising is like, we think that the preconceived notion is that as missionaries or people going on church mission trips, we are the people who are going to save them. When in reality, we actually might not be doing anything. We actually may be doing something that's dehumanizing to them, like taking away an opportunity in a business, or viewing them like cattle, or at a zoo, or a safari, or something like that. And I brought up with my freshman yesterday, I said that there are countries outside of the U.S. that send missionaries here, and kids really thought that was funny. And I said, why do you think that's funny? And they're like, well, because we're pretty much a Christian nation. We have a lot of Christians here. I was like, so does Latin America. Latin America has lots of Christians, and we send missions teams all the time. Europe has Christians there. It might even be more Christian than we are, and we send missionaries there all the time. So recognizing that we're humans, and that's what I really appreciate saying like, this is a human project, and going on trips to just like dehumanize them is really a huge problem. So thank you.
I want to echo that. Thank you for your transparency. Like, I really appreciate it. I feel like that's definitely the sweet spot for this presentation. I would encourage you, as you continue to talk about this, like in the rest of life, if I could have talked with you before this presentation and read through it, I would have suggested that the primary bulk of your content and the primary emphasis was what makes a helpful or hurtful mission trip for the person who is going on it. Like you spoke a little bit, like in bits and pieces, and I wanted more.
Yeah.
And the challenge to it is there's so much research and there's so much good things that people have studied and written about this topic. Like I wanted that, and I didn't get it.
Okay.
But what I did get was fantastic. But it was your story and what you've learned in this, which is good. But it was primarily because you were being humble and you're like, this isn't my thing. Like your experience in your area of expertise is like those who are going on a trip. This is what's helpful and that's not helpful. So I think the next time you present and the next time you research, your thesis, the more specific you are, the greater specificity you have with your thesis, the easier it is to research and present. The other thing, so this is one question. You have the unfortunate thing of talking about a thing I know a good bit about, and I've experienced a lot of. So I'm sorry. What is the distinction between a service trip and a mission trip? And is there, because I'm thinking particularly here at Southside Christian, would it be better off if you were to be naming the trip a service trip or a mission trip, which would you go for and why? Knowing what we did with the DR and others.
I've never really heard anybody call it a service trip, but I still think you could call it mission trip because it is still a mission. Like it's even said like in the Bible, our mission is to go out and serve others to bring us all together in heaven. And so once again, this is our mission to go out to other places, even if it's just here to serve and bring. Once again, everybody ties back in to bringing everybody back to heaven. And so I think you would still call it a mission trip, like a service trip, like us going to like Ronald McDonald. That would be like a service trip, I guess. But I really do think this would be a mission trip because of not only the impact of us, but especially the impact that we are putting on the kids and bringing them, or the people that are just there, and bringing them closer to God.
Classmates, do you have anything for Morgan?
Hey.
So like, it made me think about my own, like what I do on a mission trip and stuff. So I just wanted your thoughts, like, if I enjoy taking pictures with the kids after the day, like when we're about to leave, but I don't have the intention of posting on Instagram, I just want to like save the memory and maybe show my parents like this is what, because one kid was wearing a Clemson jersey. Like, is that dehumanizing or is that okay?
No, okay, so I have a lot of pictures, like everybody, if you look at my background on my phone, it's all my kids that I have. But if you really do notice, it's all in the same t-shirt because it was on the last day. Okay. And of course, there's a lot of kids that are particularly shy. Yeah. If they are shy, I just touched the microphone, sorry. But, oh my gosh. But, like, there are a lot of kids there that are shy, and you do not want to stick a camera in their face. Even if it's like, oh, this is one of my kids that I love. You don't want to be like, here, get in this picture with me right now. Like, no, they're literally shy. They're literally shy. And especially the thing with them there is they do have a lot of stories. And so going out, especially if you do post and you put it in like the caption of like posting their stories, then you do not want to tell their stories. Because even though they are young, they do have big stories. So I do have a lot of pictures of the kids that are there, but it is a really good piece to take home and be like, these are my kids. And it's just looking at it and not being like, you don't want to shove the phone in their face, because a lot of them, for some reason, especially in Dominican, they did ask for a picture. And like, you don't have to, like, even if they ask for a picture, you don't have to, but you just want to be like, you don't want to just shove it in their face and be like, take this picture with me right now. But especially like the thing posting is like, I've never posted a picture of my kids because those are like we all know that you have not went up to the person and been like, here, I'm going to post you on Instagram. Let me tag you real quick. Like, we know that you did not do that. So, like, that's one thing. Is, like, posting is, like, the big thing that I will never do because it's just not my place.
And there's something in there, too, that, like, there's a big difference between someone who's just posting these pictures, because I've had that conversation before where it's like, oh, cool, what's that kid's name? Like, how long did you spend with them before this picture or after this picture? You know,
3 hours max.
there's a fundamental difference between like the photo op and I spent a week with these people and they mean a lot to me. I'd love to commemorate. I'd love to remember this, right? It's a big difference between it. It's a heart difference. It's not like a
My biggest warning on it, honestly, is like there's a human aspect, but also the teachings of Jesus are like, hey, when you're praying, go be by yourself, right? Because like, don't be like the Pharisees who sit in the markets, like when they're fasting and when they're praying, and they sit there and they babble, or they grab their stomachs and gripe about how hungry they are when they're fasting. It's like, there's your reward. Your reward is that people think you're a good person. Like your eternal reward's gone, and we do those sorts of things. So the biggest warning is like there's a humanity aspect, and there's also like, hey, treasure these things in your heart, and maybe not in public, and not for posturing.
there's some things Jesus tells us to do. It's almost like he doesn't want other people knowing about it. It's like, wow, go in a closet and pray. Yeah, keep that to yourself, man. That's between me and you. Like,
and there's a psychological aspect as well. Like it hurts me a little bit when I hear well-meaning teenagers. So I understand slow meaning. I get it. Say, I really just want a connection with one kid. And it speaks to a lack of understanding of what attachment disorder is. Like attachment disorder is a real thing and it's a devastating thing in that person's life. Because what it means is they don't have a stable parental connection. They will connect with anything that shows them any attention, which makes them incredibly vulnerable to abuse and exploitation. And well-meaning people on short-term missions, when they want that special connection with a kid who just runs up into your arm, even if they don't know it, like put yourself in a position where you're at a park and a stranger walks up to your 6-year-old brother, and like if your brother just ran into their arms and just snuggled with them, you're like, that's really messed up. There's something wrong with my brother. You can't do that. They're a stranger. And you would be right. And so as you go on a mission trip, like there's a right when kids do that to you. It's not to say resist it, because don't resist it like they want that connection. That's not bad, but there ought to be a right sense of brokenness and sorrow for this kid where they have so little connection with well-meaning adults that they don't know who to trust, and they're willing to trust you who looks completely different most of the time, who doesn't know their story at all, and they want love from you. And so give them that love absolutely, but don't go, man, I can't wait for this to happen. Like it's actually a sign of their brokenness in their heart, and it's something for us to weep over, honestly. So that's my 2 cents.
well, Isaac, you had your hand up. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do you plan 2 things? Do you plan to go on another trip like that, and would you do anything different? You did it first.
So I actually plan on I'm going to try to do some of my student teaching back at Freedom, so like in Dominican, because that is really something I want to do because I wanted to go back this summer, but I just like kind of because of everything that's going on with like graduation and everything, so I didn't get the chance to. But as like one of my majors, like I have the chance to go back and do student teaching at a place that especially has an impact like this. And one thing that I really would do differently is I really had no idea what to expect because this was my first like big mission trip like this, and so I had no idea what to expect. And so now going back into it, I would change like, I don't know, just having more preparation for it. Like I was not really prepared for what I was going to face, and it was really shocking to get there and be like, here's how it is, here's how the kids are, and here's how they live. Like I was not prepared for that. So but now I am prepared for it, but just I guess that's the only thing I would change, just be more prepared for it.
Decide to go on the Dominican trip?
So I had always wanted to go on it. I don't even know since when. Since I was a little kid, because I always had like the announcement for it. for a while here now. I was like, okay, I love kids because I always have loved kids. Like I said, I always had that love for teaching in the back of my head, but I couldn't. And then when I got the opportunity to, I went to Pastor Colin back in like I think April of the year before, and I was like, I kind of want to go on the mission trip for next year. And then he was like, oh gosh, sophomore year Morgan, why would she go on a mission trip like this? And so he probably didn't even write my name down. Probably doesn't remember anything that happened. But then in like December of last year, like I don't even know what year that was. 2021. December 2021, I went up to him and I was like, okay, I want to secure my spot to go on Dominican because I really want to go because I want to be able to serve, especially kids, because I really do love kids and like have a passion serving for them. So I guess that's really it. I just wanted to serve them in a way that I knew that I could help. So yeah, Nick.
I think you did an awesome job. It was a really good presentation. You mentioned that you can be more harmful than helpful when giving them items. Do you think it's possible to be more harmful than helpful when like presenting the gospel in a way that like when you leave would make them not want to?
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that you can take it because like I said before, the Bible is so confusing and you can't just give it out and be like, here, read this. Like it's so hard to just explain it. And then the way that you explain it really has to like, it's hard because it is the truth and it really is. There's a lot of things in the Bible that like, are just really tough to get through. And so you don't want to open up with like, here, the world is going to end. And if you don't get saved, you're going to burn. Like, you don't really want to open up with that. Maybe let's not do that. But it's like, here's how you can serve God, and here's how God wants us to serve him in a way that will glorify him and in the end reach us to heaven. So there's a lot of ways that you can take it.
And I just did opening up the Judges.
Yeah.
Code.
Right there, Cole. Right on the money, Cole. Okay, Laura, is that it? Next, sorry. Okay.
So you said like the thing with stores. Do you think there's a way like within like natural disasters and stuff where those stores are hitting? Do you know if there's any ways that like people do this currently, or ways people could like help supplement the supply of those stores so those businesses would be like kept afloat, not like to the point of like where they're gonna fall on like limb legs after your help, but like just supplement to help that business stay in order, but at the same time help people around them like actually be able to purchase them.
Yeah. Well, when you go in, like with Salvation Army or something, to a place that was just destroyed by something, there are so many different ways that you can help. Like they probably need new sources of water because all their water sources have been dirtied or destroyed. So you can always take that. And then with the giving clothes, it's just like there's always an overwhelming thing of physical materials like clothes that just don't really need to be overwhelmed with. Like a lot of people still have some of their clothes and like that's just not the main priority right now. Like I would rather have rips on my shirt than just be so completely lost because I just lost my family. So just going in and having sparsing, is that even a word? I don't really know, but you guys know what I mean. Just like giving out in like groups, I guess.
Even without clothing, do you think there are ways to like supplement stores that like can't stay afloat during that time? Like let's say food, like food's something you can't go without.
Yeah.
So do you know if there's any ways that that's happening currently in terms of like supplementing food during natural disasters for those stores so those stores stay afloat?
So like a food store?
No, it's like taking like let's say the current grocery store.
Okay.
There. Let's say their supply was knocked out because of that natural disaster, and their suppliers like they can't get supply right now. So missions organizations stepping in and help supplementing, not completely providing for it because then you're gonna fall on them legs after the fact, but supplementing. Do you think that's something that could be really helpful, or something that's helpful currently?
Yeah. Okay. So since we know there's a lot of donations that we have here, like giving food to like food pantries and stuff like that, and we can do the same for grocery stores like that. Like we look at it and we're like, oh, they're a really big name, but like places like I don't know, it's like a small little grocery store that's not very big, like Kroger. Not a lot of people go to Kroger, and if that place was completely destroyed, then not a lot of their suppliers are gonna come in. So giving that like donations, I guess, will get them back on their feet, but not like completely just start over for them. Does that make sense? Did that answer it?
Yeah.
Okay. Noble?
Do you think there are people that like shouldn't go on mission trips, like whether they're on the right mindset or they don't have a good attitude?
Yeah. So if you really don't have the right mindset, like if you're going in, you're like Pastor Colin said, this is a vacation, or maybe you said that. If you think of it as a vacation, like it's honestly probably not the right place for you because everybody that has gone on the trip has felt a calling to go. Even if you're like, I don't know why I'm going, but I feel like I just have to. That's God calling you. And so everybody has that calling to go on that trip and will get something out of it. Maybe if it's a learning experience and they're like, here is what I just need to not do, and here's how I'm going to fix myself. So there's a lot of people that should not be able to go. But yeah, having the right mindset to go in there and be like, I'm going to serve and not even look at myself. This is all for God and this is all for other people. Looking at that is one of the right mindsets that you need to head into.
And I'd add to that as well, like this is why these guys come in handy, because I've known like what you said about Pastor Colin, and I know Pastor Nathan's the same way, where they're like actively like, hey, have you ever thought about maybe going on a missions trip? You seem like the type of person that would benefit really well. Like that's what, like listening to those voices becomes really like your pastor saying, I think you would do well at. A lot of times the resistance is, well, that's not my personality. That's not what I do. I don't know, like a lot of the spiritually minded, like the biblically minded, spiritually minded people in your life directing you that way is a really important. Maybe this is for you, or maybe this isn't, as you mentioned. Maybe wait a year or two before this happens. Yeah. Right. Laura?
Do you think that's a bad indicator if like you're not the one that they're like guiding towards that? Because I know like within, and this gets into a whole different thing, but like within youth groups, of course, like if you're in maybe not as healthy as a youth group, there's like many favorites, and like people they play favorites too. So do you think necessarily it would depend on certain situations on who they encourage to go on those trips versus like who they don't? And do you think who they don't like encourage to go on those trips, do you think that's these badly?
I'll answer that. There's currently 360 something students in high school. I don't know. I don't know. And so the inverse I wouldn't say is a direct correlation, because it's impossible for me. I would also say, and Morgan, this is for you, just keep your mind. There's psychologically there's a different experience. I've been on lots of short terms. I've been on 1 3-month mission trip, and I've done missions for 4 years. The experience is wildly different between each of those three. And so when you do end up doing your student teaching over there, like also have that in your mind, like this experience is going to be nothing like your 1 week experience. Mm-hmm. Like just give yourself that freedom, because it will feel completely different. The things that are great are going to be a little bit similar but widely different, and the things that are difficult are going to be wildly different. And just don't be frustrated with it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like, this isn't what I expected to get. I thought I knew what was going to happen. And it's just. So.
And you're right. Like student teaching that's a really good word. Like student teaching is going to be like you're going to have responsibilities. You're going to have boxes you got to check. And it's like I'd rather be out there doing that, but no, and yeah, taking it easy on yourself and being like, no, maybe and you just said this isn't about you. This isn't about you. Well, if you're student teaching, your professor is going to be like, no, I need something from you. Like this is about you in a way. Yeah. Anyways, more personal conversations. All right, let's give Morgan a round of applause.
Bye, guys.
Why are you?
I had to say bye to my vlog.
What? What is happening?
No one knows.